Hello everybody and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. Just a couple of announcements. First of all, tomorrow night, Wednesday, September 18th, is our next Introduction to Plant-Based Nutrition, the 90-minute, power-packed science and skills, get yourself started on a healthy diet program that we offer a couple times a month. And then next week on Tuesday, September 24th, Conversations with Dr. Pam, I'm going to talk about the Obamacare Affordable Care Act mandate and how it affects individuals and some of the things that I think you should do if you want to protect yourself against some of the negative byproducts of this particular law. We're kind of stuck with it for the time being, but humans are interesting. We do have choices in some of these matters, and we need to learn to exercise them. So if you're interested in those things, contact our office and we will get you signed up. Now, I want to address this issue of good fats, and people keep talking about healthy fats and fats that change your cholesterol and all this sort of thing, and I'm somewhat tired of having this discussion, but as long as I keep getting emails that indicate everybody's confused about it, I guess we'll keep talking about it. So a recent study revisited the results of the Sydney Diet and Heart Study, an old study that concluded that you could reduce cholesterol by consuming polyunsaturated vegetable oils, and that it was a heart-healthy move. And people keep pointing to this study as justification for the recommendation to consume oils and healthy fats. Now, the new research group obtained some as-yet unpublished raw data, and they did their own statistical analysis. Now, the original study involved 458 Australian men who were between 30 and 59 years of age and had had a recent cardiovascular event. They were randomized to two groups, one that received no dietary advice, then they had an intervention group that was given safflower oil and safflower oil margarine and told that they should increase their consumption of the safflower oil products and decrease saturated fat. The original researchers reported in their article that the intervention group that had the safflower oil was able to lower their cholesterol 13.3% as opposed to the control group of only 5.5%. There was no difference between the groups in triglycerides, body mass index, or blood pressure, and that should have been a clue that maybe this wasn't as exciting as it was represented to be. Now, the new analysis showed that the safflower oil group had an increased risk of all-cause mortality, cardiovascular mortality, and mortality from coronary artery disease. And the researchers noted that this was consistent with a couple of other studies that showed the same thing. So there are a couple points here. First of all, again, the oils are not heart healthy, but the other thing is the fact that taking isolated nutrients like oil or pills of any type and that sort of thing to reduce cholesterol does not necessarily mean that you're improving your health. Biomarkers are important, we should pay attention to them, but all methods for reducing biomarkers are not the same. And in this case, taking oil, pure liquid fat, to reduce cholesterol may work in terms of changing the biomarkers, but it doesn't change your health profile. So the study is published in the British Medical Journal, and there was an accompanying editorial or commentary stating that in spite of these studies, the American Heart Association continues to recommend increased consumption of polyunsaturated fats, which causes confusion. And actually, there's no confusion for people who understand nutrition and read the medical literature. The American Heart Association just continues to put out terrible advice that is, if you follow it, cardiovascular health will get worse. I guess that's how they plan to keep themselves in business. I don't know what else the motivation could possibly be at this point in time. They're misinformed and they refuse to become informed. That's the bottom line. So anyway, one more study showing that this idea of consuming oils, not such a good one. So, if you still have some of that stuff hanging around your house, get rid of it. All right, let's talk about malnutrition and overnutrition. Second topic I wanted to cover. And it really wasn't that long ago that one of our biggest issues in terms of the entire world was malnutrition. And today the opposite is the problem. We actually have more overfed than underfed people. Now, overnutrition is our biggest problem, and it's getting worse. And where we see this problem particularly is in developing countries. And one study, the Asia Pacific Cohort Studies Collaboration, looked at the prevalence of obesity in Asian countries. And prevalence ranged from a low of 1.3% in Indonesia to much higher in Australia. For women, it was highest, 22.2% in Australia, 24.6% in Mongolia, of all places. But what I find really alarming is the trajectory of the increase. I mean, in Japan, during one 10-year period, there was a 46% increase in the rate of obesity. In the year 2000, 24% of Japanese were overweight or obese. In China, a 414% increase during a 10-year period of time. Now, you have to put that in perspective with China's population, like 1.3 billion people, which puts, even just a few years ago, and I think it's probably grown since then, 250 million overweight or obese Chinese people. The government will never be able to sustain the financial burden that these people place on the system, because we know that their health risks and health expenses and mortality rates much higher than normal weight people. Well, what's obviously fueling, I'll tell you the obvious thing that's not fueling it is genetics. I mean, people of all ethnicities and racial profiles, and however you want to measure this, genetic backgrounds, when they eat a high-fat, high-protein, animal-based diet, lots of processed foods, they gain weight, their disease rates increase. Nobody escapes this. Very few people, I should say, escape this. But the reason this is going on in the Asian countries is changing economics. John McDougall has said for years that in most parts of the world, we're now suffering from diseases of affluence. A growing number of people can afford to eat the rich Western diet, and it's literally killing them. People are killing themselves with knives and forks. So it's not your genes, it's not your ethnicity, it's not what race you're from. It really is the diet. And the same terrible fate befalls everybody who adopts this terrible diet we promote in this country. So if you're one of the last holdouts eating meat and cheese, boy, it's time to take a look at the effect that that's going to have on you over time. All right, that's it for this week. As always, please feel free to share this with anybody who you think would benefit from watching it, and I will be back to you on Thursday.